Are you ready for some more amazing ground beef recipes? Well, friends, I have got you some good ones this week. Hey y'all, my name's Susan and welcome to my home. Today I've got you 4 ground beef recipes that we absolutely love, and one is definitely a family staple in our house. Yep, I've got you those Italian meatball recipe. It's coming. It's on this video. I've been promising you that for over a year. So let's get our ponytails up and let's get to making some amazing ground beef recipes. Y'all know y'all want to. Let's get to cooking. Tonight I'm going to be making a tamale pie. It's a little bit cool outside and it's definitely time to start the oven up. I have got some bell pepper from the garden. I got a couple of them, guys. Some taco seasoning, some minced garlic, some green chili enchilada sauce. You can use red or you can use green. Y'all know we love the green, so we're going to be using that. Got some onion, a little bit of water, sharp cheddar. And for the topping mix, we've got corn muffin mix, sour cream, milk, and egg. And for those that have not been watching long, you know, turn your sour cream over like this, and it will stay fresh for weeks longer than the expiration date. You know, if you know, you know, and if you've been watching me long enough, you know to do that. So let's go ahead and get the star of the show browning up. The oven is on 350, so let's get to getting this browned up in the pan. And I have browned and drained the hamburger meat. I'm going to go ahead and add in the taco seasoning. You know, enough of what a packet of taco seasoning should be. And a little bit of water, because you know you need a little bit of water to help it dissolve into the hamburger meat, which I need more than that. The recipe only calls for 1/4 of a cup. I need a little bit more than that. I need a little bit more to get that going here. Get this all divided up and meshed up together. Get the bigger clumps all out of it. Because, yeah, I'm wanting something nice and cozy tonight to eat, because it is cooler outside. I don't know what the temperature is where you're at, but by golly, it's in the lower digits here, which is awesome. It's going to get down to 44 tonight, which to me is cold. So, you know, but that's North Carolina for you. All right, we have got the beef in there. Let me go ahead and get the onion in there. It calls for a whole onion. Honey, my onion was so huge. I'm doing a half an onion, if that tells you anything. Look how much onion that is in half an onion. This thing was humongous. And I've got that into the pot. Y'all know we love onion. If you don't love onion, you don't have to add it. But that is the way we're rolling tonight. We also need the bell pepper. My home bell pepper came out of the garden. Kind of proud. I didn't get many, but I got one to use tonight. So there you go. I think I used a couple in another recipe. And since it's October right now, there's probably going to be few and far between in between the bell peppers. But hey, that's some good stuff. And now it calls for 2 cloves of garlic, which I am going to do 2 teaspoons, which is heaping teaspoons. I've just minced garlic, because we do love some garlic in our stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and get that also well incorporated into the meat, sauce, and everything else that's going on right now. And this, guys, is smelling really good. The next thing I'm going to put in is 3/4 cup of enchilada sauce. I could put more in. That doesn't look like a whole lot, but we will see. Let this incorporate a little bit, and I may put a dab more in, because that green chili enchilada is really good. I know a lot of people put red enchilada in with hamburger. We like the green chili. You put as much as you want. You know, you didn't see me just put a little extra there, but I did. Now that is ready to go in our dish. Let's get the mixture for the top made. Next thing we're going to do is make the topping. Of course, I've got some Jiffy corn muffin mix that I'm going to be putting in. Put that into the bottom real quick. I'm also going to add an egg in. And I'm going to add in a 1/2 cup of sour cream into the mixture. There we go. It is calling for a 1/2 cup of whole kernel corn, which I'm just going to pour it into the cup. There you go. That looks good. And that's ready to roll. I'm also going to be adding in some milk into the mixture. And then stirring all this up. I do have a whisk, but you know what? Once I added the corn, I realized that was not a good idea. The spatula is going to do a much better job. Now, I've got all this ready to go. Let's get everything into the casserole dish. I am making this recipe a little different. It does call for you to put it all in one frying pan or pan that you can put into the oven. I don't have anything like that, so I am going to be basically transitioning this into a casserole dish. So let's get that going right now. Right here's my casserole dish. I'm going to go ahead and pour in all of the hamburger, the onions, and the bell pepper, along with all those wonderful spices, and get that all distributed in the bottom of the container. There we go. And I'm also going to get, excuse me, I need to put cheese on first. I was about to overshadow. I need to put about 1.5 cups of cheese on top of this. So you're going to have a nice cheesy bunch that will adhere the top or the muffin mix to the hamburger mixture. There we go. That's probably a little bit more. There we go. All right. Now let me get all of this that I have mixed up into the pan and see if I can get it to spread out. See if I can get it to pour in and spread as I'm going, which I'm not going to say it will, but that's actually pretty good. Don't know if you can see, I'm kind of in the light. Make sure you get every little bit of that, because you know you want that good corn muffin on top. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and spread this out on top of the hamburger mix, and it is a nice little layer and spreads very easily. You don't have to worry about it dividing off and doing all kinds of strange stuff. And that looks really good so far. I am going to go ahead and put in the last of the cheese on the mixture, because we're going to have it extremely cheesy. All right. It only called for 1/2 cup. I probably did a little more than that. This is going into the oven to cook for 35 to 40 minutes. It does not say to cover it, so I'm going to leave it open. This is shredded cheddar, and it does take a little bit for it to melt. Didn't use the Mexican blend. I wanted to try it with the cheddar. So let's get it into the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. I'm going to check it at 30 and see how it looks. I did wind up putting a cover on it, but look at that. I don't know if you can see how beautiful that is. Let's go ahead and dip into this and see what we've got underneath that beautiful cornbread topping. Another winning recipe. This was so good. The green chili enchilada sauce was amazing in this. You've got to try it. I've been telling y'all I was going to do this, for the past 1.5 years, and I finally am. I'm going to make my authentic Italian meatballs, which, you know, I tweaked the recipe a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to show you how I make them. I have got some salt. I've got some Italian seasoning, parsley, grated Parmesan. You can use whatever variety of Parmesan you like. This just happens to be what I've got on hand. An egg, some homemade oregano, or excuse me, homegrown oregano, garlic powder. I've got some pepper, Italian breadcrumbs, and 1 pound of hamburger meat. Now, my preference on these is the meatloaf mix, which has veal, pork, and hamburger, or beef. Yeah, that's really expensive right now. So I'm just going to use 1 pound of my hamburger that I get from Walmart. And these will still be extremely awesome. So let's go ahead and get everything put together so we can get them in the oven, and I have the oven preheating at 350 degrees. So let's get a mixing. And I'm going to go ahead and put everything in first and then mix it. I'm going to add in 1 egg, a half a cup of breadcrumbs, which I am using the Italian style breadcrumbs, just the generic ones. They're just as good. A little bit of salt is going in the mix. A little bit of pepper is going in the mix. Next is going to be a half a teaspoon of oregano is going in. We are also going to use 1 teaspoon of parsley flake is going in. There we go. A half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning is going in next. I need to get a little bit more out of the container in yonder. I'm getting down to the very bottom. There you go. Next, I'm putting in about 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Yeah, I am needing my spices today. I do not have enough. That's more. That's good. Probably too much, but that'll just make it tastier. 1/4 cup of Parmesan is going in next, which is a good bit of Parmesan for 1 pound of hamburger, but usually I make at least 2 pounds at a time. I'm making a smaller bunch this time because I'm not making a big bunch of it. Oh, and I just made a little bit too much, but that's okay. It's all good. And last but not least, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of milk into the mix. Now this will make it so good and tender and flavorful. Let's get to mixing it up. And the way I normally would do it is I would have used the best Parmesan cheese. The oven's done. The way food costs right now, you use what you can use. If you want to make some homemade Italian meatballs, this is what I found to be the best recipe. I have tweaked it, yes I have, to give it my own spin. You can take the recipe, you can tweak it the way I did it, because I always tell you to print the recipe out and then write down the tweaks I do in the recipe, because I am not going to tell you wrong when I tell you to add something a certain way. It just makes it amazing, because that's the way I do all my recipes. I get them, I make them, and I make them my own. You can do it too. But you know, if you want some inspiration on how to make it the best it can be, go with what I make, the way I make it, and then you can always tweak it the next time, because I am not going to tell you how to make it bad, that's for sure. Okay, I think that we've got pretty much everything mixed up real good. You don't want to overmix it. As you noticed, I haven't been vigorously mixing, I've just been massaging it. Now it's time to make some meatballs. You can use a measure of whatever size you want. I usually do about this size of meatball. I am not a huge meatball person. I want the nice, not small, but medium-sized meatballs. You're going to know you're eating something when you're eating it. This is actually a good size for a tablespoon. Get a tablespoon of meat, put it in there, and then take it out of the tablespoon and then roll it. Because the best thing you can do is have all of your balls basically the same size. That way they cook about the same time. And as you see, I'm just packing it in there, taking it out, rolling it up, and moving on to the next one. It's quick, it's simple, and this is the way I've done it for quite a while. I mean, you're going to have a little bit of variation, but not much whenever you use a standard measurement to make your meatballs. And as you saw, I rubbed it against the side, and that really packs it in there good. And then you can just roll it up. Like I said, you can make them a little overfill if you want to. Like that one looked kind of small to me. I've made it a little bit bigger. And just put them all on the sheet, and I'll show you that here in a second. And here's how many meatballs I have with 1 pound of hamburger. I like to put the fatter ones on the outer edges. That way They take a little bit longer to cook usually, and the thinner ones go toward the middle. That just to me seems to be the best way to do it. You don't want your meatballs touching. You want them to have a little bit of air in between. That way they can cook evenly. There's a big one. Yeah. Move it around. Kind of like you do with your sausage balls. If y'all have seen me make sausage balls, then you know this is kind of the same way I do sausage balls. I measure them that way all of them are about the same size. That way they cook about the same. Like I said, if you can see, I've got the bigger ones around the edges because they cook. They need a little more cooking than the ones in the middle. And then the smaller ones are in the middle. Let's put these in the oven, 350, for 15 minutes, and then we'll turn them. 15 minutes in, and this is what it looks like. It actually is looking really good. Now, there's not a whole lot of browning on the bottom. Well, there is a little bit. Not much, actually. See, that's not bad. That's not bad. I think I'm going to go ahead and let it finish cooking while it's setting down like that for the next 15 minutes. And then we'll have the meatballs will be a little bit browner on the bottom, but not as brown on top. I'm going to go ahead and start the noodles, and then we'll be ready to eat here once this comes out in 15 minutes. And here's what the meatballs look like right out of the oven. As you can see, they have a nice, beautiful crust on the bottom of them. If you'd have turned them halfway, they might have had somewhat of a crust on each side, but to me, that's good eating. Let's get this on some noodles so we can have some supper. You cannot go wrong with these meatballs. You want something that's homemade and tastes like $1,000,000. These are them. Get the tri meat if you can. If not, just use Hamburger. It's time for supper, guys, and let's make some nacho cheese beef wraps. I've got just about everything for the recipe, so let's see what we need. I've got some taco seasoning. I've got some paste nacho cheese sauce, some Rotel, Mexican lime and cilantro, of course, what I love. Got some onion, some Mexican cheese or Fiesta Ben cheese. I've got some sour cream. I've got some big burrito grande flour tortillas. And I've also got some hamburger meat that I have browned and drained in the pan. So let's go ahead and add a few things to the pan and get this nacho cheese wrap started up. And since I've already got this browned up and drained, I'm going to go ahead and add the onion in. Y'all know I use Vidalia onions. They're my favorite onion. This is about half of a large Vidalia onion. It costs for, I think, half a cup. This is probably close or even more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the pan and let this start to heat up and become opaque. Well, this can't be much easier. I've browned it up a little bit. I'm going to add in the equivalent of 1 packet of taco seasoning mix. I'm going to add in the can of Rotel to the pan. And stir that up. It's a little bit hot because I let it get too hot, but that's okay. It's going to be wonderful. Normally I would put a little bit of water in this after I add the taco meat, or the taco mix, that is, seasoning, but the Rotel has got water in it. And I'm just basically letting it cook into the meat now with just the juice from the Rotel. The next thing we want to add in is the nacho cheese sauce. And I've reduced this down to a low. So hopefully it'll cool down a little bit. And I'm just going to pour it on. Look at that. Goodness. Get everything out of the container. This is the medium because y'all know Danny and I love a little bit of spice. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this in with the meat. And get this all incorporated. And then it'll be time to make us some wraps. So let me get this mixed up and I'll bring you back when I make the wraps. I've got my large flour tortilla. I'm going to go ahead and add in a good sized scoop of the mix into the very middle of it. Because y'all know, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Now I am going to add a little bit of cheese in the middle. Not that it's not cheesy enough, but y'all know I love me some cheese. Here we go. Now I'm going to basically roll it like I would a burrito, which is pull it back basically, flip the ends in, which is what I'm doing. Trying to keep everything together as best I can, and then roll it. There you go. I've got a wrap. Let me get a few more made, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. And I wound up making about 5 overly stuffed burrito wraps. And this pan is getting nice and hot. This is a non-stick pan, so I can put whatever in there and it never sticks. And I'm going to go ahead and set these in here and let them start getting brown on both sides. And then I'll bring you back whenever they're done. And Danny just wanted one to start with, because you know, they're decently sized. I'm going to go ahead and spread a little bit of sour cream on top of this and put some more cheese in the mix. Why not? Cheese is always really good. And this is piping hot and it's ready to eat. Another great ground beef recipe. This was so good and so easy. You saw it almost in real time. Look at the inside of that. That was so delicious. Y'all got to try it. It is so simple. And it's time for some quick and easy cheeseburger sliders. I have got the King's Hawaiian savory butter rolls. We like those better than the sweet ones. We're not big into the sweet rolls, but those are really good. I've got some of this Kinder's steak seasoning. That is so good, especially on a burger or anything like a burger. And of course, I've got some onion I'm going to put on there. And we've got the star of the show, which is 1 pound of hamburger. And this is going to be a loose burger, which I am going to just cook up in the pan, add some onion to, cook it down, and then we'll put them together. So let's go ahead and get this hamburger cooking up so I can add the onion to it. Now, this has gone ahead and browned up. It's almost completely done. I am going to go ahead and add some onion into it. And I'm in one of those moods again tonight, guys. I'm just going to cut the onion in. Just because I don't want to dirty up the cutting board. It's been one of those days. And we're just going to let this onion go in by itself pretty much. Just be careful, don't cut your fingers. Alright. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to let this, well, I think I might need some more onion. I thought I had enough. I love onion. So, y'all know, this is my kind of thing. I love me some onion. There we go. That's more like it. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this saute down just a little bit until the onion gets opaque. And it's already smelling wonderful, but I tell you what, it's going to smell even better here in just a second. Because I'm going to add the Kinder's seasoning in. I'm just going to shake on some. You don't need a ton, because this stuff is really flavorful. And it will make your burger taste like a steak. And it's already smelling up the house. Let me go ahead and turn this on low real quick and let this cook down for just a few minutes covered. And then I'll bring you back when I put it all together. What I'm going to do is I'm only making 6 because Danny and I don't eat a lot. You know, so we're just going to eat a small amount, and then I'll have leftovers to do for another day, which is not that big of a deal. It's actually a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and pile some meat on all of these. And yes, I'm going to rescue that meat that just fell off because it needs to be on the bread too. I got clean hands. I wash them constantly. There. Now, before I put anything else on, I'm going to go ahead and put the cheese on. I have mayonnaise both sides. So here's the cheese. And I have some of this secret sauce. You don't have to have the secret sauce, but I think it's really good. I like it. Danny doesn't care for it. So I'm putting it on 3 of them and not putting it on the other ones. So that way I can have 3 and he'll have 3 that don't have it on it. And then put it back together. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this get into the oven for a few minutes. Melt that cheese, and then we'll bring it out and we'll put some good butter on it. and then we'll be ready for some supper time. They're hot out of the oven. I'm going to go ahead and run a little bit of butter over the top. I don't know if you can see, but the butter is melting into all the crevices. There we go. Now that just makes them even better. Let me get some macaroni and cheese on this plate. And here we go. A little bit of mac and cheese that I made the other night, and some of these beautiful cheeseburger sliders. I know Danny's hungry, so let me get him this plate. Quick and simple with tons of flavor. This is another family favorite for sure. I told you, those ground beef recipes can't be beat. Make that meatball recipe, do a double or triple batch, and then put them in the freezer after you make them. They last for a long time and heat up real quick in a pot in some spaghetti sauce, in the microwave, or in the oven. And if you haven't already, press that little button down below and subscribe. Make sure that you press the little bell and the all notification so you'll be notified each time I put a new video up. And until next time, see you then.